Hello, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge. Hi, everyone. I'm Briggs Zanotti, and welcome to eLearnChat. We're joined today by Trina Rimmer. Hey, Trina, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's so nice of you to come back and help co-host again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm kind of fortunate that Dawn's been so busy. It's given me lots of opportunities to be on the show.
Yeah, she's been traveling a lot this summer, more than I think usual. They have her on the road.
Hey,
I think
you
it's
know what?
part of the Employee Appreciation Month. Worker Joshi drops.
Oh, yes, that's definitely a sign of appreciation with air quotes, huh?
Yeah, it is. Well, Trina, we've got Shannon Tipton on today. Would you like to introduce her?
Yes, Shannon Tipton. She's our learning rebel. I believe that's the name of her company as well, and a performance consultant and all around amazing person. I'm really happy to have you on the show today, Shannon, and really excited to be able to have this time with you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's such kind words. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here.
So I have to ask, learning rebel, please elaborate. What's a learning rebel?
A learning rebel is someone who takes traditional learning and turns it on its head. Doesn't accept the traditional learning status quo. There's always a better way, and we should be asking, what is that better way? How? Why? If we're doing it in this particular way, why are we doing it that way? And a learning rebel should be asking those questions and should always be asking those questions.
It's interesting that you chose the word rebel because I think it can have some negative connotations for some people, but rebellion is kind of a perfect fit for what you're describing.
Well, that's the way that we thought about it. And actually, Dawn and I came up with the name Learning Rebels. Goodness, over a year ago, and it started as a lark. We put together a little blog site and was just sort of playing around with it. And it really was about how we approach learning philosophy, that we really wanted to create a space where it was safe for people to think differently. And then all things being what they are, then I decided to take it as a business. And Don was so kind as to let me take the name and use it as my own for my business. So, and that is what I try to talk to the younger generation of L&Ders, that are out there, is that it's okay to think differently. Rebellion can be a good thing. We're not asking you to go and kick in walls and be negative in the workplace. It's all about positive, positive rebellion, if you will.
I think there is a role for constructive rebellion, especially in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, positive deviance is a good thing, and that's really it's sum total. It's about asking respectfully deeper questions. There is so much money out there being wasted on learning and development right now, and it really gives learning and development a bad name, especially when they start talking about, oh, those learning and development dollars, and they see them automatically as a bottom line waste rather than a bottom line investment, because senior leadership doesn't see this as money that is well spent. And we've done, as an L&D organization, in some respects, has done a very poor job of communicating why the monies in this P&L ledger, if you will, is a good investment. And so that's why I think the rebellion needs to continue on. And there are so many people out there who are behind a learning rebellion right now, and we want to get more people on board. Let's do it.
One of the problems is that in a lot of large corporations, they're not trying to really train people as much as they're trying to indemnify themselves. And as a result, you get a lot of
Trying to
crappy.
tick a box.
Yeah, you're just saying, okay, we're trying to avoid lawsuits, we're trying to avoid this, that. Now, there are some good companies that do training and good training, but you can probably count them on your two hands, if even, because most of them just do what they have to do, and it's minimal. It's bare minimal. And how often? Well, she just left us, but she'll be back.
Yeah, we should probably let the audience know that Shannon's in an
Oh,
area with
sorry.
storms today. So
Right. So there's a lot of storms
I'm
going on in
back. I'm
Chicago.
back.
Anyway, we were talking about how a lot of companies are really indemnifying themselves versus actually training, and that a lot of the training for in today's day and age, we do tons of this and we don't like it. We keep saying no, sound is better, no audio. So you're
I'm here.
forcing a younger generation who doesn't read for the most part to read.
you know, I
Well,
think
um,
a lot of times too, organizations tend to think of training as a punitive thing. It's something that they can, oh,
Right.
you're not turning in your TPS reports. You must not have taken the training on TPS reports. Here you go.
right. Right.
So I think there's a lot of, training as a form of indemnification, and certainly training as a form of, I don't want to say punishment, but kind of, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's about ticking the box. And when I talk to other instructional designers, they come to me and they say, well, it's compliance, so we have to do it this way. No, you don't. No, there's no book out there that says you have to make compliance training boring or as a punitive measure. It's again, it's about looking at the learning that needs to occur. What learning needs to occur? Is this the appropriate path for that? Is it a training course is not the only solution, as we all know. Is it a learning aid? Is it, an iPhone app? Or, what are some of the different things? And I tell them, it's your fault. I hate to put it directly onto L&D's plate, but it is their fault if they are creating boring training. And I don't care if HR says we have to do it this way or legal says we have to do it that way. There is no have tos. There is conversation that needs to occur to get the best product in front of the end user, in front of ultimately the L&D customer. So I think that that's where we fail.
I like that term, L&D customer. I think that has almost more meaning to it than an audience, because I think an audience has kind of sort of a generic connotation, but a customer is someone that it's implied that you're serving their needs. So I kind of like that. So
You've left.
there's technology running havoc with us again.
Yep. You've left
Although
her
I
frozen.
like that expression that we've caught
It's
on
a
her
good
face
one.
there.
There she goes.
Oh, weather. Well, I think that Shannon's onto something here with all this talk about how there's sort of no excuses. That if we're creating or generating bad content that doesn't serve the need of our customers,
Right.
That's a problem with us, not necessarily a problem with everybody else.
Well, it's trying to educate the clients, which is not always easy. I'm getting an echo. Somebody's got, I think, yeah, I'm definitely getting an echo. I think it. Shannon, are you back?
Yep, I'm back.
Are you on? You don't have speakers on, do you?
No.
No. Just getting a little bit of an echo. I think it just went away. We were talking about all of the joy of L&D and what it's accountable for. I think one of the biggest problems with L&D, which is sort of interesting, is that they're not educating their clients in a corporation as
Right.
to how to do it better, or
Yep.
what the real impact is of training, or if there is any impact. We have LMSs. Nobody does anything other than launch with them. So you launch a course. Wow, that was a great investment of $500,000. So what else do you do with it? Yeah, I just keep thinking LMSs is so overpriced. How many people really do analytics afterwards to say, hey, this ties into kind of the
Yeah.
balanced scorecard of, or is this department performing? Is that individual performing? There's not a lot of that going on.
No, and I think that it's because we tackle it, in my opinion, from the wrong direction. We're not tackling L&D from an organizational strategic goals perspective. So we should be asking the organization, what is the pain point? Where is the organization hurting? And so it's not a matter of proving L&D success. It is about what happens if it fails. And I believe that if we tackle it from that point of view, then we will have bigger success within organizations, where we go to senior leadership and say, this is what you said was important. In our key meeting, you outlined this as a key priority. What happens if it fails? Is there money lost? Are there customers lost? Is there safety issues? Are there worker compensation costs? What happens if it fails? And I think that when we can tie it into that, and that's language that business understands, and if we can tie it into that, then L&D has a bigger success, or has a bigger propensity for success.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the hard things for a lot of the folks that I talk to in this world, especially newer designers and developers, is that they feel like they don't necessarily have the clout to have those conversations with the higher ups in the organization. How do you address those types of questions from L&D folks, Shannon?
Well, what I tell them is, when I was in their shoes, and I've been in multiple levels of L&D up to leading departments, and what I would do is I tackled leadership in the hallways. Whenever I had an opportunity to talk to them, I talked to them. And I'm sure that at some point they saw me coming down the hallway and they were walking in the opposite direction from me, because I always wanted to talk to them and get their opinion. I sat with them at lunch. I found them break room. I walked into their offices and said, you know what, I have this idea and my manager isn't available right now. I'd kind of like to know what you think about it. So I was always putting myself in front of them so that they didn't have an opportunity to forget that L&D existed, and that we had thoughts and opinions. And I tried to get myself invited to as many meetings as I could. And a lot of that was me promising, and those of you who know me, it was a very difficult promise to keep, is that I said, I will sit in the back of the room and not say a word. I promise I won't say anything. All I want to do is listen and take notes. So if you can get into it in that regard, then I think that you're better off, because the more that you are that fly on the wall, the better informed you are and the better conversations that you can have. So I think that it is up to all of us to put ourselves in front of the right people. Don't wait for them to find you, because they will never find you. You have to put yourself in front of them.
Well, another thing that's real important, kind of going right along with that, aside from them, you finding them, is a lot of times the people in learning, or the ones who do L&D, don't know the business that they're working for.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And I wrote a blog post not too long ago about that, about doing a CSI on your organization, doing a investigation, getting the P&Ls, getting the HR.
She's posing right now, frozen in time.
She'll be back. I really want to hear the answer to this too.
That was a good answer, I think.
I was loving where she was headed. Okay, here she's coming back.
I'm back.
Hi there.
I'm back.
I think we lost you about a couple of seconds into.
I know, and I'm so sorry.
You were talking about the CSI, and then you went away.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we heard somebody knocking on your door, and it was all over. Okay, your video is not on. Not sure if you're still there.
I love the idea of the CSI. Oh, there she is. Or maybe not. I think she's onto something, though, with the notion of being a detective and really digging in and finding the information you need so that you can really understand the business you're working for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, more promises of Shannon to return here.
Thought we had her for a
Are we
second.
there?
Yeah, we're here.
There we go. Try again.
There we go. Okay, now you got cut off where you said CSI.
Yes, be a detective.
That's when your door knocked and they took you away. But can you hear us? Oh, she's frozen again.
Wait, maybe, do you ever do just audio, Rick? Because
We have done audio.
Yeah, I don't know, that might be.
So she doesn't even have a picture, so it's just a silhouette. We could do it.
Just a little white square.
Yeah, a little white square.
Okay, let's try this again.
All right, here we go. We left off at CSI.
CSI. Okay, so we were doing I encourage people to do a CSI on their organization. Find your P&L reports, read them. If you don't understand them, that's okay, because not everybody understands them to start with. Go to finance and ask them to help you read them. Go to HR, get the last safety reports, get the last employee engagement surveys, and read those, really read those, and find out where your organization is at. If you have scorecards, find those scorecards, and you can get them from your usually finance will have scorecards, even marketing will have scorecards. So I encourage you to go to marketing and partner up with marketing, because they will be able to tell you where sales are at, what gaps are there, what problems that might be happening in the pipeline or in the funnel. So you have to do a bit of legwork yourself to really find out what your organization is all about. And you cannot create solid learning plans without knowing where your organization wants to be and where it currently is in its true state, not from where two people say, well, this is where we are and this is where we want to be. You need to go in and do some deep level digging yourself.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to sell the services where they're appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because a lot of times L&D people hide. I remember the old Cheers. I think it was the accountant. I forgot his name right now. But he would always be hiding. And after 25 years on the same job, one day they had new management. They saw him and fired him on the spot. So it's like the first time he's ever been seen, he got fired. And a lot of L&D organizations kind of have that, okay, head in the sand. Nobody's noticing me because I'm invisible. We used to have a German Shepherd dog that would like to raid the big garbage can in the kitchen. And one day I walk in and he heard me. His head is deep in the garbage can and he's frozen stiff. And I was thinking, now he thinks I don't see him because he doesn't see me. And it's not a great thing to do in learning. And we've just lost our guest again. Shannon has now departed.
That before though, Rick. My head in the garbage can.
Yep.
The corporate garbage can.
The corporate garbage can.
Okay, with your head in it. Yes. Oh my. Well, I think that one of the things that I like to do as well is understand the landscape of not just what my organization is doing and some of the facts and the details behind how the organization is operating, but also what are our competitors doing? I mean, if I'm going to do my homework, if I'm going to be that detective, why not understand how other people are playing in this space so that I can make some recommendations that are maybe oriented around those business folks who really are bottom line oriented.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, you're back.
I'm back.
We were just talking about ostrich management or ostrich departments which hide.
Ostrich, L&D.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rather than go out and find clients and find areas where they can help, they're too busy just kind of saying, if nobody notices me, I'm okay. And then, of course, when layoffs happen.
That's what I call the bobblehead. The bobblehead
Yep.
L&D.
Mm-hmm. And then the problem is, look how there's two departments that get laid off very quickly when there's big problems. Training and marketing.
Right.
Two departments that marketing, because they're not usually held accountable. I was reading the other day something which I thought was so accurate. Marketing department should be held accountable for sales as much as sales. And they're not. Well, they are
Right.
sort of. They get laid off, whereas sales not as much. And training departments get laid off a lot because they're not serving the bottom role that much.
Whereas salespeople don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a thing on Pinterest a while back. I pinned it, and it said, "Stop the glorification of busy." And I think that applies so well to our L&D industry, because I think that with the LMS, the temptation is always to measure those activities and not necessarily to look at how those impact performance.
Yeah. Oh, you are back.
Yes, I'm here. I'm in and out, in and out. I really apologize for the connection today.
No, that's okay. It happens. Now, you sure you don't have a husband or child on the other end playing a game, right?
You would think, right? But no. That would be the easy excuse. But no, that's not that is not it. Just terrible connection today.
You're our peekaboo guest. That's all right.
I like that. A peekaboo guest. I'm in, I'm out. I find a topic, I can choose to zone out. I have no opinion. I'm out.
What we're going to have to do is get you back on another time when there's no storm going on.
Well, I would love to be back anytime.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, but only if you promise to just periodically drop out.
That's going to be my trademark now, right?
Exactly.
Everybody's
When I'm in person, I need to have a cloaking device.
Yeah. Now, Shannon, what have you been up to career-wise? I know you've done a whole mess of different things. What are you doing right now?
Well, right now I'm just focusing on the business, on the consulting business. I went through a merger, a division merger within our organization, and to be really honest with everyone, and I'm sure people can feel the pain, is that when you merge two divisions together and you realize that the cultures are not going to aren't going to work, and I realized that I was not going to be a good fit for the organization any longer. That my philosophies are very, what I like to think, forward thinking, and the newly merged division was not necessarily going to be in that way, nor necessarily would they be. And so I realized that it was more than likely a good time for me to make an exit. Mm-hmm. So I did that and went through the interviewing circus. I would say circuit, but that's not really it. It's more of a circus. And decided that, I think that I'm better off trying this on my own.
What I like about the interviewing circus, if you will, is that they're more concerned about a period, a comma, and exactly how your resume looks versus your skill set.
Yeah, that is so true. I wish that it is terrible. I had no idea how bad it was. I really thought that, a person with my experience, I have lots of experience and lots of certifications and education to back me up. And I really thought that I wouldn't have an issue finding a good position. But I was really surprised when there is a lot of competition out there, a lot of good competition, and that's fine. Competition is always good. But it really, with a lot of organizations out there, they don't know what they want in regards to learning and development. Yep. And that's really what I found, is that I went through a number of interviews where they didn't want a director level position or a VP level of L&D. They were looking for L&D coordinators or administrators or managers, and they just didn't know it. Right. And that's really what happened 9 times out of 10 whenever I went on interviews.
Yeah. Well, you can always tell people, I spend my day actually taking compliance courses. I'm very good at it.
I'm very good at that. I can answer true, false, like nobody's business.
Exactly. Well, Shannon, right. You mentioned that you were sort of forced to admit that there was not a good culture fit, a good mesh between your more progressive perspectives and I guess the organization that was kind of taking hold in your old place. So could you talk a little bit about culture fit, because it seems like that's a really good segue into talking about this the CSI concept a little bit more, because I think a lot of people are dealing with cultures that they don't necessarily fit into.
Right. And I really do think that there's a point in time where you have to step back and go, I am not a good fit for an organization. It's a marriage, sometimes you have to divorce
Hmm.
yourself from it. And I've always been of the belief that my business philosophies, my career philosophies, as well as my personal philosophies need to align with those of the business. And I've always tried to work with businesses where all of those stars kind of work together. And sometimes it's not a perfect alignment. Sometimes there are, eclipses, if you will. But for the most part, I've always been successful. And it is really knowing yourself and knowing what you're really willing to put up with. And I don't think that if I can't wake up in the morning and know that I am helping the business and helping my customer, the end user or the learner, then I know that I won't be happy as a person. And so then that's when you need to move forward. And it takes courage to do that. And, I wasn't ready. I loved the organization that I worked for, the division that I worked for. And I really wasn't ready to step down and move on. But you need to, and from that you build strength. And I think that it really gives you a different perspective on the world, and you can go out and you can do it. I think that a lot of people are afraid to take that change and to take that leap, and it is big, but you can do it. I'm here to tell you, you can do it. And I was in corporate America for a lot more years than I will admit. But you can go out and you can do it. You can make a change.
Well, it comes down to four letters, which is exactly what you said: fear.
Mm-hmm.
Most people make decisions based on fear or stay in places based on fear. What if I leave? I won't have a job. I'll go broke. I'll die. If you value your skill set and you value what you can do and who you are, there's no reason really be afraid. There'll always be another job, period. And but I think that goes down to self-confidence. It goes down to, do they really understand what their own role is in a company or in their own department or whatever they do in life? And it's knowing yourself. If you know yourself well enough, you won't have that fear of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in the unknown. What do they say? The past is gone, the present doesn't exist because it's already in the future. So what have you got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I think I took a big leap myself several years back from corporate America. And the thing that kind of kept me going was when I realized that every job, every interaction with a potential client or an existing client was kind of an interview.
Hmm.
And so I was auditioning constantly. And once I took on that idea of, okay, this is an opportunity and this is an audition, and this is having this gig in the pipeline is not necessarily going to guarantee me the next one. So I need to constantly be showing my value. It really helped keep me motivated and focused, stay hungry,
Oh, we lost her.
Oh, no. Well, we know she'll be back because she's our peekaboo guest.
That's right.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. That's right. Here I am again. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. All right. So I'm sorry. We were talking about fear is where I left
Right, and
off.
just how fear is a bad motivator.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, it
a lot of
really
times,
is.
it's sort of funny that
y-
we've come to a society where we make heroes out of anybody and anything, but more often than not, heroism is born out of total, absolute fear. You either have to do something or you don't, and people just sometimes make the right decision. But fear is really what holds everybody back from trying, from achieving, from just being happy. You can't be happy if you're afraid.
Right. Right. And I think it does go back to what we were talking about earlier with the CSI approach. And people are scared to ask organizational questions. They think it's not their place.
Right.
Well, it is your place. You're a member of the organization. You are a employee, a team member, a colleague of the organization, and you can ask those questions. And I guarantee that those people out there in the corporate office will be happy to answer those questions for you. They're thrilled. Finance is thrilled to have people ask those questions.
I think you're 100% right about that, Shannon. I remember when I worked for a a major corporation, one of the first things that I did is in my new role, I sat down and actually kind of interviewed and talked about, what are the real issues that training hasn't addressed for you from a performance standpoint. And, one of the really enlightening things that I heard from one of the VPs I sat with is he said, my organization is hemorrhaging blood, and the L&D department comes along and passes me a Band-Aid and says, here, put this on it. And he said, I would like you guys to be more real with me. And I thought that was very impactful, very important statement that really informed a lot of my time with that organization from that point on.
I think.
Yep, I think that's a good point. I think a lot of times that we are handed that Band-Aid and here, fix it. And it's just not that easy.
Right. Well, Shannon, I think we need to get you back on the show, weather notwithstanding. We are pretty much at the end of our 30 minutes right now, and we really appreciate you coming on, especially with the antediluvian weather you've got out there. So it wasn't too bad. We actually got some great points in here. I think we lost her again.
I've enjoyed talking with you while we've had you, Peekaboo guest.
Well, anyway, I think she is, I don't know, frozen,
Yes.
gone. Oh, you are there.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought we lost you again because we don't see you right now.
Yeah, I know. I don't know
That's
what
okay.
who knows? Who knows right now what
Who
it is?
knows?
It's
But you know what?
the,
We're gonna
it's
wrap
the internet
up.
ghosts.
We're gonna wrap up the show, and we're gonna get a commitment from you to come back on,
Absolutely.
because I think you've got some great stuff to talk about, and we're only really touching the surface of it. And then we're gonna psychoanalyze the whole industry. That'll be perfect. So
Yeah, I'll bring my degree in L&D, psychology
yep,
with me. Yeah.
that sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Trina,
Well-
again, nice seeing you, and appreciate your help today. And
you so much.
Shannon, definitely, we will get to see you next time. I'm going to work on that transporter malfunction, and we'll get everything going well.
Be marine, Rick.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for your patience and your flexibility and all
Oh,
those
no
other.
problem. Hang in there for a moment. We're going to do our outro, and then we'll come back and say goodbye to you.
Okay.
For you guys watching the recording, please subscribe and give us your feedback. We love hearing from you. And if you're watching on Ustream Live, again, follow us. Then you'll always know when we have guests and when the shows are. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.